Lewis Hamilton entering the final year of his Mercedes contract has plenty of fans worried. Whoever you support, Hamilton being on the grid always makes Formula 1 more exciting, and when he does retire, the sport will find it hard to replace him. Who else is going to be able to challenge Verstappen? We don't see any obvious candidate on the grid. His contract was meant to be signed and sealed by now, so what's holding it up? Could it be his insane demands? Let's check it out. Everyone knows that Lewis Hamilton is going to be out of contract in the very near future. His current Mercedes deal runs until the end of the 2023 season. When he signed the current deal in 2021, he probably expected to have won his 8th World Drivers' title by now, be the most successful driver in Formula 1 history, and retire as the out-and-out undisputed GOAT. Unfortunately for Lewis though, 2021 didn't end how he wanted, and then Mercedes made a mess of the changing regulations in 2022. If the Silver Arrows can't turn it around in 2023, then he'll be stuck on 7 titles, and for Hamilton, that isn't good enough. Towards the end of the 2022 season, when the season was wrapped up by Red Bull and everyone started to look ahead to this year, and Hamilton's potential retirement was top of the list of worries. Fortunately for fans everywhere, Toto Wolff was quick to say that the contract would wait until the winter break, when the team would have plenty of time to sort things out, away from the cameras that follow the paddock. Well, at the end of the winter break is just a month away, and at the moment, Lewis's new contract is no closer to being completed. Luckily for Mercedes fans, Toto Wolff has said he needs far less than a month to sort the new deal. To finalize a deal that commits Hamilton to Mercedes beyond that time, team boss Wolff says all they need is a few hours of wrestling and the job will be done. "We have a full year to go," Wolff said. "We're so aligned. In the last 10 years, our relationship has grown that it's just a matter of time of him physically being back in Europe, sticking our heads together, wrestling a bit, and then leaving the room with white smoke after a few hours." For those of you that don't know, Lewis has been globe-trotting during his winter break. The 7-time world champion was relegated to the role of an observer in the title fight last season as Mercedes battled porpoising and drag efficiency issues with its W13 Challenger. A late-season resurgence that led to a 1-2 finish in the Sao Paulo Grand Prix for the Silver Arrows has proven cause for optimism ahead of the new campaign, with the team hoping the W14 will overcome any issues experienced by its predecessor. In preparation for the new year, Hamilton has taken a trip to Antarctica and has documented his travels on social media. In a recent Instagram story, a number of clips show Hamilton meeting penguins while snowboarding with friends. He wrote in a post, "Antarctica was chill," accompanied by further images of his stay. Fans flocked to Twitter during the trip to try and decipher his posts to work out who a black bikini-wearing lady was, thinking it might be his new girlfriend. Clearly, Lewis has been enjoying this off-season. There are fears that the pause in contract news for Hamilton means that, despite what Toto Wolff has been saying, Lewis could be off to another team when the current deal runs out. When any successful or highly rated Formula 1 driver is potentially on the market, it is normal for rival teams to start sniffing around, like Red Bull did with Lando Norris before he agreed his long-term McLaren extension. However, when discussing a 7-time champion Hamilton, who has the most wins, poles and podiums in the history of the series, he's a driver that every team would dream of signing. But it is the Mercedes team where Hamilton has become so integrated, which almost certainly feels like the team that Hamilton will see out his career with. If the rumours are to be believed, the contract that Mercedes are offering to see him to the end of his career could be the most lucrative in the history of the sport. In fact, it isn't even close to anything we've ever seen. It is being widely reported that the new deal will be worth $75 million a year, just as his base salary. This looks like a big move from Mercedes to stay a step ahead of Red Bull in the F1 contract arms race. Max Verstappen signed a new contract at the start of the 2022 season that saw him slightly out-earn the Mercedes man at the time. It was Red Bull's way of saying, "We have the best driver in the sport at the moment, and we're going to show you how serious we are about competing at the top." This move by Mercedes seems to be them trying to get one up on Red Bull again. The deal doesn't just stop at the base salary though. There's plenty else that Mercedes are offering to ensure that their man stays around for years to come. While the deal for a race seat is thought to last 2 years, taking Hamilton into his 40s, it is the extras that will see him tied to Mercedes long into the future. The contract is expected to include a role as an ambassador for Mercedes that will last for another 10 years after he retires from racing, and would be worth around $27.5 million a year. If you're wondering how Mercedes can afford to give out what is essentially a $500 million contract, well, you aren't the only one. Apparently, approximately 90% of the contract will be covered by third-part owners of the Mercedes team and title sponsors Ineos. British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe owns the company and has a long-lasting friendship with Hamilton. Outside of Formula One, the two made waves in the British press when they joined together in an eventually unsuccessful bid to buy Chelsea Football Club, and more recently, a bid to take control of Manchester United. If the contract turns out to be true, then you can understand why things are taking time to get sorted out. Being tied into a contract until you're 50 is a big deal, and Hamilton will want to make sure that he's getting every penny he's worth. But why do Mercedes think he's worth so much? After all, they are about to spend $500 million on the British driver. While Hamilton may be the best Formula One driver in the history of the sport, he's probably worth far more off the track to Mercedes. Hamilton's social media following far surpasses that of any other driver on the grid. He is estimated to have around 30 million followers, while the next closest, Max Verstappen, has just under 10 million. That is a huge reach that companies are willing to pay for. It isn't just his social media following, though, that appeals to Mercedes. It is his whole brand. Lewis Hamilton is a name and face recognized around the world, and if they can exclusively use his image to help sell their cars for years to come, then they'll be all the better for it. Like I said earlier, this new contract will make Hamilton the best paid driver in Formula One history by a long way, but the contract will be missing one key clause. Previously, he was earning around $27 million each time he won a World Drivers' Championship. In the new contract, it's thought that clause won't be included. There'll definitely be some sort of bonus scheme in there for him, but nothing as ridiculous as that one. Do you think Hamilton is worried that Mercedes won't be able to give him the car to compete again, so he would prefer his salary to be increased instead of having the chance of a huge bonus? While you ponder that question, you might also be wondering how Hamilton manages to spend the incredible amount of money he makes. Well, if you remember earlier on, we told you briefly about his winter break trip to the Antarctic. He and a small group of friends hired a private yacht worth around $250 million to tour the icy continent, spending time snowboarding and seeing penguins. While the holiday was obviously incredible, it is perhaps his day-to-day life that shows the extravagance of his life better. The Mercedes star previously admitted Monaco was the place he calls home. Hamilton is understood to live in the luxury Fontvieille district, based just a 15-minute walk from the start line of the iconic F1 track. The Briton paid over $40 million for a penthouse in Manhattan, New York back in 2018. The house is believed to include gorgeous views of the Hudson River, as well as a fitness center. He also has a 6-bedroom, $22 million house in Kensington, West London, which was formerly owned by Burberry designer Christopher Bailey. As a professional race car driver, you would expect Lewis to have his fair share of incredible cars as well. He's been pictured in several gorgeous sports cars that are a part of his collection. He's previously posed in front of a custom-built Pagani Zonda 760, which can reach 0 to 62 miles an hour in just 2.8 seconds. He's also believed to be the owner of a Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG Coupe Black Series, capable of speeds of up to 195 miles per hour. Hamilton also has the keys to a Ferrari LaFerrari, McLaren P1, 1966 Shelby 427 Cobra, and Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. Ironically though, he has said he doesn't drive any of them anymore because of the effect they have on the environment. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to us either. Want to know more about what's happening in Formula One? Then click the link on your screen and I'll see you there.